let's look at some other birth narratives of
Do we
Jesus.
need to say that this is part 2 of our Advent calendar?
Well, we are now. I was on a roll. Welcome back to Religious Rejects, our Advent series. Today, we are going to talk about the non-canonical birth narratives.
Yeah.
I'm going to let you do most of the pronunciation of these words, but I'll try. So we have 3 major ones we're going to talk about, and these are all stories about Jesus or Jesus's childhood that you would find in other places. The Proto-Evangelium of James, the Infancy Gospel of Thomas, and the Arabic Infancy Gospel. So these are all really fun because it does feel like they came after Matthew and Luke, which we talked about before, the crazy stuff, but then they add stuff to it.
So these are the Gospels that are not in your Bible. These are the things that never showed up, that were suppressed or hidden or whatever, buried in...
But not really, because some of them did make it into our Christmas pageants today. We talked last week.
Details, right?
Small
that's
details
true. Yes,
that
you're
did
right.
show up.
You're right. One way to think about this is it's like Christian fan fiction.
Yes.
That's like the best. I heard somebody say that, and I'm just like, that is such a great way of describing it. It's fan fiction for Jesus.
Yeah, it's like people wanted to know more about some of the other characters. You have one of these stories that wants to complete the story of Elizabeth and Zachariah, and spoiler alert, it does not end well.
No, it's not good for... it's not good for poor Zachariah. Let's start with the weirdest birth stories here, with the Proto-Evangelium of James.
Okay, well, this is an interesting one because it also lays out the premise that Mary was also of a virgin birth. And that her mother was barren and old, similar to Elizabeth, and that was visited. Actually, her husband was away and he gets visited. Gets visited when he's at home, and they're all supposed to have this baby, but they didn't consummate that moment. Now, obviously, they had been married for a long time, but that moment they were apart. So how'd she get pregnant?
Oh, yeah.
So she gets pregnant. She has Mary. They decide to dedicate Mary. So now this story sounds a lot like Samuel, where they decide after a certain amount of years that they've had with Mary, I think at 3, they decide to just deliver her over to a nunnery.
Yeah. She goes to the temple.
Yeah, she's a little tiny nun. Nun.
Nun before the nuns.
Yes, a nun before the nuns. She grows up as much as you can grow up, when you say 12 or 13 or whatever, however old she was. And now they've decided she's a woman and she needs to find a husband. So they have this arranged marriage. And it's a really weird bachelorette kind of
creepy
system.
Honestly. This part I thought was really creepy because Joseph is really old in this version.
Yeah. Ew. So they invite all of the widowers. So right there, it's going to be somebody older. They're giving this child to widowers.
Ugh.
Okay. They have their own competition, and basically they all have these staffs, and they go one by one, and only Joseph's staff flowers. So he's the chosen. He's the chosen bachelor, golden bachelor, for Little Miss Mary.
Little Mary.
Yes.
Yeah.
So there they go. Now they're together. Now, Joseph has already had a family previously. This is where most people think, oh, this is where James was. So especially if you were on that idea that Mary was a virgin her entire life train, this is the fan fiction that tried to encourage that.
Yeah, because if Mary was a virgin and was conceived in a virgin birth, and maintained her virginity through her whole life, which is a big part of the devotion of Mary in certain Christian traditions, she can't have other kids.
No, right.
So, where did the siblings of Jesus come from?
So the siblings were actually step siblings.
Yeah.
Okay.
Got it.
So they were from the first marriage.
Yeah.
or second or third. I don't know.
Or whatever,
We
yeah.
have no idea how many marriages Joseph had.
Right.
Now, same kind of thing. Herod's after them, blah, 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 blah. They take off. This is where the donkey finally shows up that we see in every Christmas pageant, but it's not in Matthew
the Bible, yeah.
or Luke. It's actually here. So this little detail kind of snuck its way in. Mary is on the donkey, and she's like, "Oh, it's a coming." I'm sorry. Having had a child too, I can't even imagine being on a donkey.
I know.
In labor.
It's terrible.
Come on. I mean, there's your first clue that this probably isn't real. There's no way. Just kidding. Okay, so now she's on the donkey. She's having the baby. They gotta pull over. They find a cave. Mm-hmm. They go into the cave, and she has baby Jesus. But while she's in there, supposedly having the baby, Joseph is freaking out. He's trying to find a midwife. He finds these midwives. Please come help. She's having a baby. The midwives go in. Now this, I mean, come on, this. Mary's had Jesus, and somehow the subject of I was a virgin came up, to which the midwife is like, bullshit.
Yeah.
Let me actually check. She checks, which I don't even want to go into detail on how she checked, but she checked. And as she's pulling her hand out after checking it or putting it in, it burns. And when she comes out, her hand is just completely destroyed.
So she has a permanent disfigurement.
Now
her hand is like...
Yes. But baby Jesus heals it. Little baby Jesus.
So here's my question. Is the person checking... Is it not the case that if the person is checking her virginity, isn't that kind of like making her not a virgin too? I mean, I don't know. I'm like, this is like so screwed up.
I've had so many questions over this the last thing. Like, even just having birth, I think would have tore the hymen a bit. Yeah. I mean, listen, I've had 2 vaginal births.
Yeah.
They tore the frick out of me.
Yeah.
Sorry.
Yeah.
I can't even imagine.
Right.
So again, leading to not only was she a virgin and it was miraculous, and apparently there was no pain and it was lovely, and I'm like, well, shit.
Okay. Yeah.
That's not fair.
Well, I guess that's how it's, you know that it's true because it's, only God could make that happen.
That's right. That's right. So
then we've got the infancy gospel of Thomas, right? And so this is more stories about Jesus as a toddler, right?
Talk about the terrible too.
Yeah, right? There's all kinds of crazy things happen here. So, and this is different from the Gospel of Thomas, which is sayings of Jesus, which more people might be familiar with. These are just stories about Jesus as a young, as a toddler, and then maybe into maybe up to age 12 or something like that. So what are some of the things that happen in the infancy Gospel of Thomas?
My favorite is the boys all playing on a roof, and one of the boys being pushed off the roof.
Oh, but he just fell, Jesus said in there.
Yeah. And then he dies because he fell off a roof. Jesus gets blamed. And Jesus, in order to tell everybody he didn't do it, has to heal the kid and then say, "Did I push you?" To which the kid goes, "No.
No, I just fell." Yeah.
But I love how the entire community is like, that Jesus is at it again.
Yeah. So strange. This is also the one where later Joseph is telling Jesus, please stop hurting people. Stop smiting people dead, And so, there's all these issues that Jesus is getting disciplined by Joseph for his supernatural powers of blinding people, smiting people, raising people from the dead, all this kind of stuff. So, and then we have the Arabic infancy gospel. And this one is pretty wild because there's things like dragons show up and they bow in reverence to the toddler Jesus.
Okay, yeah, that one.
That's kind of amazing.
This is the one I read where Jesus is also like, and it's really funny because I can kind of picture this now because of CGI, which is so bad. In my mind, it's so weird, but these are the ones where like the cave glows, where she's having it and things happen and there's weather things. And then there's all of these children that are now running for their lives from a dragon. And little baby Jesus stands up and he's nursing 1 minute. The next minute he's standing.
Yeah.
And I was like, what? So all I could see is this really weird CGI baby. So
Well, it
yeah.
depends on also how long he nursed, because, they probably
Well,
nursed a
that's
lot
fair.
longer. He could have nursed until age 5 or something.
Were they still in the cave at age 5?
Well, I don't
I mean, because he was still in the cave. And he just stood up. And I was like, that's just weird.
Yeah. And also there's lions in this one that accompany the Holy Family. A palm tree bends down to give Mary food at one point. And this one is really kind of gross and pretty wild. But baby Jesus's diapers heal people. Ew. I mean, who comes up with these things? I just think that's kind of gross. It's probably no surprise when you read them that they did not make it into the Bible because they are kind of strange.
Yeah.
And I also think, though, that it points to a very human need of trying to learn more about who Jesus was and imagining what he might have been like as a child. And I think that's really kind of the fun part of this, as long as you don't take it too seriously, I think.
Yeah, I think I do find it interesting that the infancy gospel of Thomas is actually those years that we don't know. We often talk about those years between, toddler and 12. We know what happens at 12, but then we have that block of time that nobody knows anything. And I love that, like you said, the fan fiction that comes in to kind of fill that void. But I also love that he's throwing people off of roofs, possibly.
And then having to raise them from the dead to prove that he was right.
Yeah.
Because he can't convince them on his own.
Right. Because
No, I'm right. Yeah.
Thanks for tuning in. Up next, will the rejects keep, rethink, or reject today's topic? Stay with us.
Once again, we are not going to keep, reject, or rethink anything from these topics. We are allowing in the Advent season for you yourself to figure those questions out and to decide which of these fan fiction stories of the baby Jesus would you keep, rethink, or reject. I personally love that dragons show up for Jesus. I mean, that's like next level. So
yeah,
it's pretty cool.
Oh, and we didn't mention, though, too, again, back to the fan fiction, is that in the first one we talked about, the proto-evangelium of James, all the cameos. Talk about, Marvel Cinematic Universe. There's all these cameos in it that you see from Matthew and Luke. So you have Elizabeth and Zechariah make an appearance in that one. But Zechariah is kind of all the way through it. And at the very, very end, Zechariah is murdered.
Ugh.
Yes. So he barely, according to this fan fiction, there's not a happy ending for Elizabeth and Zechariah and baby John the Baptist because he's murdered. And it took some days to find him.
Oh,
I know. And then Simeon, this is where it gets interesting. Simeon is in the narrative of Matthew. Luke, you're right, Luke. And he's one of the people that have been sitting at the temple waiting to see Jesus, him and this other woman, Anna. And they want to see Jesus. That's all they want to do before they die. And they get to see it in Matthew, about 8, Luke. Thank you.
Not Matthew, Luke.
Matthew, Luke. They get to see Jesus because he has to be circumcised on the 8th day, and then they go to the temple. In the
proto-evangelium of James.
God bless, yes. Zechariah is murdered, and Simeon is the one that takes his place.
Oh.
But if Simeon takes his place as a young man, seemingly he was the one being mentored to take over, how is he an old man in Luke?
It doesn't make any sense.
It makes no sense.
No.
Yeah. But I thought it was a nice nod to Simeon that he makes it into another cut of,
There we go. Nobody wanted to let Simeon go.
No, apparently
They wanted
not.
to give Simeon more, screen time.
So people really liked Simeon, and they just wanted to keep pressing that. He was a really good guy, too. He should show up more in some of these Gospels.
Yes, absolutely. So, what do you think about these other infancy or childhood narratives about Jesus? What would you keep, rethink, or reject? We'd love to hear your thoughts about it. Comment. Share these episodes with people who you think might enjoy learning about these extra stories about Jesus, learning about early Christian fan fiction.